Hello, Shiv.
Hi.
Shiv Pande. I've obviously got a very small potted history in the NHS, but you've actually got a great depth of knowledge. Can you tell me how you started into the NHS, what you did, what got you interested?
I came in 1971 and I was working in India as a lecturer in surgery in medical college. And my friend and his wife, our family friends, they came and they said, what are you doing here? I said, well, I'm doing this lecturer. And I felt that there was no possibility of promotion for few years. So why not I go and do some training in UK? Because I was interested in cardiothoracic surgery. I had been going to Dr. P.K. Sain every summer holidays and working with him for 2 months. So I came for that reason. Uh, at that time, there were no trainings or anything. It was just a sponsorship and 1 month's assessment. So I was assessed by Mr. J.S.S. Stewart in Wigan. And I was hoping that he will tell me, okay, in a 1 month's time. But he told me in 5 days' time on the Friday that Shiv, you can go. So I went to my sponsor and said that he has cleared me and I don't have any job. So he told me to, will I be happy to do it in accident and emergency? I said, no, no, no problem. So I did 6 months in accident emergency at Wigan. Then I had references, so I went to London Chest Hospital and worked with the famous mitral valve surgery pioneer, Jack Belcher. And from there, I was headhunted as a registrar in Liverpool, a rotational job for 2.5 years.
So, did you get what you wanted at that time?
Initially, yes, I got what I wanted, but that was a starting point for ambitions to be crushed. When I completed the training, I was on a study leave, so I had to decide whether to stay here or go back to my job in India. So I decided to stay here because there was no sense in leaving my training, excellent training, in halfway. But that means I had to resign the job in India. When I completed the job here, I was hoping that I had good references and I will be appointed senior registrar. But that's where my frustration came in. I attended various interviews, but I could not break the ceiling. They said, yes, your references are good, but why you have not done fellowship? I said, fellowship I didn't want to do because I was already master of surgery in India. I have worked with the people and I want to go back. But anyway, to cut the story short, my children were growing and I had left the job. So I had no choice but to think and move laterally. So when I was changing my job, I thought that, again, there's no sense in jumping from one to other. There was no compulsory vocational training or anything, but there was a voluntary vocational training of 1 year. So I did that, and I'm happy that I did that because that gave me the ropes of general practice. The trainer was a very nice person, and he gave me a Jewish gentleman. He not only gave me training in general practice, but also training in life. And I still remember, rest in peace, the gentleman. Shiv, buy a house which you can't afford. Naturally, because your income will be going up, your family will be growing up, so you will outlive your small 3-bedroom house.
So, you're talking about ambitions
Yes.
and building those
Yes, it was a knock, but then I thought that okay, this is something where I can do for my patients, and so I joined the general practice, and it so happens that I became member of the Overseas Doctors Association, one of the founding members, and we were contesting for GMC because the medicine report had said that there were so many faults with the system and all that. I did not get elected first time, but in '94 I got elected.
So that's with the GMC.
In GMC,
Yeah.
yes. General Medical Council, elected member. So there were, and I think that was something where I was able to contribute and do something for our fellow beings in the Southeast Asia, because the PLAB test,
PLAB. Explain PLAB.
PLAB test, yes, it was being done only in this country. People were coming from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and all over, and if they failed, and the success rate was only 30%, that means 70% were failing, and they were not able to do anything. They were not doctors here. Mostly people were married with one or two children, and they were not able to go back, and they could not take second test till 6 months. So those 6 months were wasted, and they had no income. So what they were doing, they were living in ghettos, 5 or 6 boys and girls in one room, and I do know about some organizations like that in West Ham, where people were living in a flat, 6 to 7, and doing their PLAB test. So then I spoke to then the chief executive, Finlay Scott, and I said, well, why not we do part 1 in the country of origin, so that they can do the test, and if they fail, they are still doing their job.
Historically, they had to do all of the test in the UK.
Part 1 and part 2. Part 1 was the more theoretical, and part 2 was OSCE. So part 1, he said, Shiv, yes, if government of India invites us. I said, calm down, calm down. He said, okay, if government of India allows us. So that was a real acceptance of the facts. So to cut the story short, I sent a fax to a contact of mine in India on 23rd of December 1995, and on 5th of January 1996, while we were celebrating Christmas and New Year, I had a reply back from my contact. Government of India has got no objection for GMC to conduct the PLAB test, provided Medical Council of India agrees. And I was on the 9th cloud.
That must have been an absolute pivotal moment.
It was something which gave me enormous morale boosted, enormous, you can say, satisfaction, and I couldn't believe my luck.
So in terms of the contribution to the NHS, this is a significant part of its workforce.
Well, yes and no. There were criticism that, Shiv, you don't realize that you will be draining the brain from India, Pakistan, the countries which they know. I said, well, no, I'm not doing, and I'm not in the politics of that nature. Those people who have decided to come, why they should be suffering in this country, living in cold, living in 5 and 6 and 7 to a room, and going to the gurudwaras, temples and mosques for food. And that was my reason, that they should be done there. And very good that, after the pilot in India, it was done in Pakistan. A friend of mine, who was again a GMC member, you may know, Dr. Miss Alamara Khan. She went to Pakistan and started in Pakistan because there was already a template. And then we did it in Sri Lanka, and it's going on. And
so let's move forward to present time. And we know we have this toolkit for NHS professionals coming into this country. How has it changed?
I joined the general practice, and I think in those days it was different. I remember where I started helping out. A doctor, single-handed doctor, was going in ambulance and telling his wife, Dillis, Dr. Pande's number is on my desk. He is available to help. Give him a ring. and there were no mobiles or anything. The poor lady, she was ringing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because she knew that there was nobody to look after Dr. Page's patients. When we came back from Isle of Man, because my mother had come, we had gone there, she said, "Oh, thank God, Dr. Pande, you are available." I helped. It was a small, it was practice from the same house where they were living. A big room was the waiting room, and another small room with a wash and basin, the drawers, and a couch was his consulting room. So that way I started helping out. But later on, when I opened my own surgery, when I got my own place, we had 3 rooms, waiting room, waiting room, then the consulting room, and then the extra thing. Whole thing was this, that because I was doing the program on the Granada television, I was inviting.
You did programs on for Granada TV.
Yes, I was doing this program, and I was inviting the people, the cardiologist, and I was inviting, say, for example, dietitian, social worker, family planning doctor. I said, well, why I'm doing that? Why not I do these things in my surgery? So I contacted the social services in my area and said that I will give you the room, and please come, and my patients will wait for a week, doesn't matter. So all these quaff things which are going on now in general practice, yes.
Quaff. Yeah. What's quaff?
It is a quality points, which was very good. So I appointed initially a practice nurse, which was my patient again. She had retired from the hospital practice. So I said, well, why don't you help me out? What am I going to do, Dr. Pande? I said, no, you will take the weight and the blood pressure of the patient. That's all. And record it so that it will be help to me. And another important reason was I was a male doctor and there were female patients, they could talk to her. And then we added the urine test also for that. So 3 things she was doing, height, weight, blood pressure, and the urine test. And that was a tremendous help. And I was told that in Liverpool, I was the first single-handed practitioner to have a practice nurse. There was another group practice which was training the GP trainees, but that was a bigger one. They had.
So how's that changed?
So, from a single room where there was no practice nurse, there was no social worker, nothing, it came gradually to this stage. And I think the things are improving, but the whole thing is that the various contracts which have been, the administrative part of it, GPs are not trained for, or any doctor is not trained for administrative thing. So that is where the pressure comes, burnout comes, and I think both government need to understand, administrators need to understand, and we clinicians need to understand that the times are changing. We cannot be sitting in isolation and be the king and have a kingdom. We are part and parcel of the society, multicultural, multiracial, multi-speciality, and everybody has contributed because patient is one. And everybody's aim is to make the patient better. And what better than this, that all people do their job and the patient goes smiling out of your room.
So, if I had a magic wand from when you started to where you are now, what were the best bits that you consider that have been lost that would still be pertinent today? And if you were designing the health service now, what would you want to see?
It has taken time, but when I was started, there were no appointments. If anybody came in the door before 6 o'clock, yours truly was morally and legally obliged to see him or her. Because if you didn't see, what they will do, they will go home, ring and call you for a visit. So so that has gone. We have had appointment systems. We had various new people introduced into surgeries now. And I think
Is that new roles?
Sorry?
Is that new roles that have introduced into surgery?
The new people who are coming, yes, this all had to be done through practice managers, through the administrators. Originally it was a very cozy, comfortable, and I never went to the golf, but my colleagues were going on the golf in the afternoon and relaxing there. I don't have any objection for that, so long they were doing their duty. But now, surgery doors are open, people are coming in, people are going out, patients are coming in, being served by different people. So I think this is something wonderful which is going on.
Is that good, bad, indifferent?
I think no, it is a good one, but it has taken time, and it has, sadly, the explanations have not been there. Communications have been lacking, and NHS is a, you can say, big juggernaut. And it takes its time to move slowly. And if it is a turn or if it is a reversal, God forbid, it will crack down. So I think, those things, the communication has to be good. Digital transformation. What else you can do? I was involved in that. I had a very good friend of mine who was my neighbor, and he was my guru for computers. We will have a glass of wine and sit down and talk about it. And I remember when I was going on holiday, when I was going on visits, my arrangement was I had a caretaker in my surgery. So she will leave the lights on if there was another call. Because if I had done the call and gone back home and then she will ring me, I will have to come back. So we had innovated that outside light, keep it on. That means there is another call, so I will knock on the door, take the other call, and then go and do that. So those are the days. Now we have got technology. When I was going on visits, we never had a file with them in an emergency in the night duties. But now you can have everything on your mobile.
So digital technology has supported and accelerated some learning.
It should be, but sadly, it is a big task, and especially because patient is one. He is attending GP surgery. He is attending cardiothoracic for her or his heart problem. Is attending the Royal Liverpool Hospital for her arthritis or something. So, and everybody is doing, but that should be all combined in one, under the one banner, and that is a patient. At the moment, no. Unfortunately, they all are doing the blood test, but they are only able to see in their own sections, which is poor patient is having the 3 pricks rather than 1 prick.
So go back to the very start of your journey when you came and your ambition was cardiothoracic. Is it something that you think, actually I should have stayed there, or my journey into GP land?
Asha, it was a professional suicide. Changing from your ambitions, your achievements, and going to something which was totally new. But one has to compromise in this life. And I think I felt very upset and sorry at the time. But later on, what I could do for my patients and for my fellow medics, I don't think that I have wasted my life. So say, for example, what I told you about the PLAP test, it was something which people were trying, but they could not do. I was lucky. Touch wood, I have been lucky in many ways, and I always say one thing. I put a question to my friend or friends and don't answer myself. I let them answer so that their wisdom their experience can guide me. And that has always been beneficial for me and for my profession.
So I'm going to ask you some wisdom and wise words. So if I was someone thinking of joining the NHS, if it was you starting, what advice would you give?
I would say that never hesitate to get to the bottom of your wish, keep high ambitions, and consult. Meet, meet, and meet. Keep your mind open, and whatever suggestion comes, think logically and act upon it.
Meet who?
Meet your colleagues, meet your peers, meet your supporters. Because in your, if your family is not supporting, you will be knocked down. If your peers are not supporting, you will not be able to move. If your administrators are not understanding and cooperating with you, then you will fall flat on your face. So I think whatever problems you have, don't keep it to yourself. Discuss it. Open yourself, talk to them, and understand their limitations, and give them chance to help you.
And my last ask, really, the NHS is 75 years old, or young, shall we say, and also we have had and attracted a lot of people from across the globe. So, what is your wish on the NHS's, the NHS's 75th birthday? If you were cutting that cake and blowing that candle out, what would be your wish for the NHS?
Well, I wish that, this is something unique in the world. It should continue, not only for next 75 years, but for next 75 centuries. But the way we have to is accommodation. If we are set in the tight rules and regulations, it will be disaster. I think both administrators and clinicians need to cooperate and understand each other's ambitions, each other's difficulties, and each other's solutions. And that is the best way. And that is happening. And the government can't keep on opening the purse again and again. So we have to give value for the money, no doubt about it. But at the same time, we have to work within our rules, within our, as they say, cut your coat according to your cloth.
That's lovely. So what I hear is that everybody along that patient pathway needs to work collaboratively together to understand each other's roles so that patient has a positive outcome.
You have hit the nail on the head.
Thank you. It's been a delight talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice.